Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hivemind Recap Podcast. This is our August recap part 2, discussing all of the EPs, singular, and albums, many, of the month of August 2023. We had to split this month up into 2 episodes simply because there was a lot to talk about. And we're idiots.
It's Jake's fault. No, it's not because there's a lot to talk about. It's just Jake's fault. We just played.
Is it really? Is it really?
Yep. I back that. I can support that.
That's I added more albums than Jake, admittedly.
It's okay. We hate everybody that's name starts with a J.
Yeah.
So everyone like Derek. That sounds about right.
Let's go.
Wait, shit.
Also, I think Jacob's the only one who didn't put an album here. Did I add 2 albums? Why did I put Movements in here? Why did that happen?
Wild.
There are albums were whelmed by in this.
There were multiple.
There were
albums.
some whelming albums this month, but there were also some not so whelming albums this month.
Nope.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Both.
Yeah, actually, I would say that there are a couple albums that were subwhelmed, and a couple that were par for the whelm. They were whelmed for the course.
Par for the whelm. That's an episode title if I've ever heard one.
No, August deserves better than whelmed for the course for being the album. August deserves better.
Some lukewarm whelming. I'm luke-whelmed. Very lukewarm.
I hate it here.
Don't like being whelmed. Sounds like a fish out of water.
Jake's feeling very subwhelmed by my jokes.
That's true. That is truth.
Oh my God, what is it? Merriam-Webster? Where's that when you need them? Yo, Merriam-Webster, if you're listening, put them kids in the dictionary.
Oh, so we did most of our banterish talk in our last episode, talking about all the concerts that you guys went to over the month of August. So, any other dumb bantery shit y'all want to talk about? Or should we just get right into the meat?
I think we might have
the meat.
I'm ready,
you know,
I'm ready to put
I gotta
the meat's in front of my face. I'm ready.
Yo, have you guys ever heard of the Meat Mountain from Arby's?
Oh yes,
yeah.
Yes.
I really want to try.
I'm glad.
But I don't know if they have it
transition
in
has led to
Canada.
this.
Let me see. I'm gonna find this out for you. Meat Mountain, Arby's.
Proud of
Canada.
yourself, Jake.
Do they also? Can I get the Meat Mountain at Cookout?
No.
There is no Meat Mountain. at Cookout.
What is Cookout's comparison?
The signature
What would you
thing,
compare
they
it
have
to?
like 40 or 50 different milkshakes.
Yeah, it's shakes and burgers pretty much. But like the amount of food you can get is just absurd. Like quesadillas are sides. No. You order like a tray, so you can get like a sandwich or whatever kind of fucking like burger you want, or chicken sandwich or whatever, or you can get like 4 chicken tenders. And then
me, that's me.
Bro, I need to go. Why didn't we go when I was there?
I don't know.
I don't fucking know. I've made several mistakes when you were down here, and that was definitely one of them.
I want you to hear this, Jacob. Are you ready? This is like if you get like the bear, like if you just get like a regular ass burger and you don't get any of the specialty burgers, it adds like $1 or $2. If you just get like a plain regular burger, LTO, and 2 chicken quesadillas as your side with a large soda is $5.99. God bless America.
I think you're hyping him up to be very subwhelmed when he comes down.
I don't
here
think
again.
so, man. Cookout.
No, this sounds awesome.
Cookout is beautiful.
So what is that, like $8.99 Canadian? Something like that?
Probably, yeah. Now if you get you can get like 2 patties on your burger or whatever, and then like you can get like a specialty whatever. So the trick is to know which sides are worth the money. So you can get a whole fucking corn dog as your side too if you want. But if you get like cheese curds, which are fucking delicious, by the way, they really apart. They usually only give you like 4 or 5 since you can double up on them. So like if you get it as your double side, it'll equate to just getting a regular side order of cheese curds. But if you just get like 1 and 1, then you're wasting your side. So you got to go off.
Mind blown by American fast food right now.
Dude, the Cajun fries, God bless. God bless. Five Guys and Cookout have some damn good Cajun fries.
Okay, we have Five Guys here.
Right? Yeah. Five Guys Cajun fries go.
There's a place down here called Dirty Buffalo. It's a wing place, and they do fries, but they allow you to basically coat them like you would the wings. So there's rubs and sauces for all the fries. It's so fucking good.
I went to
like a really good Cajun rub on fries with a little bit of sauce. Phenomenal.
I went to Buffalo Wild Wing and I was whelmed when I went.
Yeah, B-dubs.
They don't have that. We don't have that here.
I've never heard it called the B-dubs before.
You've never heard it called B-dubs?
I've never heard it called that.
That is so fucked up. Maybe it's very specifically regional. My age.
It could be regional. It could be regional. I think it also could just be the fact that I don't eat food and I'm not in with the lingo of most foods.
That is true. Well, they have like plain boneless nuggets or tenders or whatever. Like
salt and pepper.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Salt and pepper. Also, I found you guys do have a meat mountain.
Hell yeah.
It is. Are you ready? It's roast beef, ham, turkey, Montreal smoked meat, chicken tenders, bacon, and then slice of cheddar and a slice of Swiss.
This is incredible.
I really fucking want a meat mountain now. Arby's is that people shit on Arby's down here all the time because like it's allegedly like subpar, but I don't think you can beat an Arby's chicken bacon Swiss.
I think you just
with curly fries and a large iced tea.
I mean, if you just want,
it just depends on where you go.
Just go to Arby's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Apparently, Arby's had breakfast. Did you guys know Arby's had fucking breakfast?
No.
I feel like an Arby's breakfast would suck.
this is going on way too long. But Wendy's in America has breakfast, and they do not.
Yes, it's the best. It is the best. I think it's like
so good.
It's them and Taco Bell do like the
Taco
best.
Bell has breakfast too.
Yeah.
You can get like sausage quesadillas. They have a breakfast crunch wrap. Hold on, let me show you this shit. This shit is a miracle. This is a gift from fucking God. Let me show you this shit. This is where
this all relates to music.
Absolutely,
of course.
Here you go. Here's a Taco Bell breakfast.
This relates to music because Bill Murray used the Taco Bell sound effect in one song.
Exactly.
Oh,
look at this shit, man.
Oh,
this is beautiful. Best. You know, Justin, do you drink coffee?
I do.
Have you had the Wendy's Frosty coffee?
No, I haven't had that yet. I usually get the coffee from like a coffee shop at my work.
Oh no, man! Next time you hit up Wendy's for breakfast, get the vanilla frosty coffee. It's like they literally just. I think they take like either hot or lukewarm coffee and melt a frosty cone into it, type of thing. It just comes out.
Type of. I think there's an Italian thing. It's like affogato or something, where it's coffee and ice cream put together, and I think that's what they did.
Yeah.
This tangent went on way longer than I thought it would.
Hey, we absolved ourselves of the live show tangent last episode. I think we earned this kind of off topic.
Wait, whoa! Why does Arby's breakfast look kind of fucking like disgusting, but also really good? Look at this. They took like a pancake and put like ham and sausage and shit. Oh my! Look how shitty the frosting on the little pastry is.
Oh shit! I pulled it up on the stream.
Dude, look, I'm seeing a reason why am I looking at roast beef for breakfast? And there's a reason Arby's doesn't have this anymore. I think
we should start talking about music. The last thing I'll say on all this is that I'm a very picky eater, so I don't really eat anything for breakfast. Meaning that I almost never go out to eat for breakfast. So.
Me either.
And any of this breakfast talk, I have like zero association or attachment to. I am whelmed by all of this breakfast discussion. I feel nothing.
This is like when we went to Waffle House and Jake ordered milk.
Yes.
Wait, I forget about this every time, and then I remember, and I frown a little bit, like, subconsciously.
Oh, guys, I got the perfect transition into one of our albums. Should we skip to it right now?
Gonna hold off a while for that one.
You know, Justin, if Jake keeps not eating very much food, he might end up Weightless.
Weightless, yeah.
Yep,
Before we do that, be sure to follow us on social media at Hivemind Radio. Hivemind Radio on Instagram and Twitter. Hivemind Radio on YouTube. Hivemind Radio Recap on Spotify. Talk about the music.
On X as well.
Twitter.
We're talking about the only EP on the playlist this month. We've got new band Lifespark with their EP Weightless. This is a debut EP, I believe. No, just kidding.
I was about to say I'm gonna go fact check you on that, and if you're wrong,
it
10,000 lashings.
10,000.
You know how like on Twitter it's like readers provided context.
Yeah.
Justin's gonna like tweet it out, and then Derek's gonna be like underneath.
I have the community notes.
I just checked. I am right on that. Cool. All right. So
wait, no, it is their debut EP. The EP we're looking at was releasing singles. Yeah.
Derek's
I was like, wait a minute.
This take is correct.
We good. So this is
never under Jake.
This is an emo pop rock band from Germany.
Let's. I feel like we tone it down a bit on the pop rock because I feel like, at least for me, that was very misleading. I mean, I know that's what their Spotify bio says.
That's self-described. However, when you get into like Weightless, which is the title track, and a fucking like raw ass breakdown.
Yeah,
and it's good. Like that's probably the best song on the EP.
I really enjoyed Weightless. I did not listen to the full EP, but I really enjoyed Weightless as a song. So, and I will be giving this EP a full listen by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, compared to like most stuff, this is pretty solid. I would say it's like ranked in the middle from like all the EPs that we probably listened to. Just because the middle half of the EP kind of dies down a little bit. Like I kind of lost interest when Rain Dancer and Delirium were playing. But Stay Away kind of brought me back. It's very similar to Weightless, where it's got a very similar energy and kind of tone to it. Got a really good backing on cleans to it as well. It's very nice. Not the one I don't remember too much of. Admittedly, I only like recently finished my like second full listen of the EP, so not the one I don't quite recognize too much. But overall, like it's pretty solid and consistent for a debut EP. I don't think they're signed to anyone or anything, so this is just a instrumentally a solid debut independent release.
I almost got vibes of Breathe Atlantis when listening to Weightless, the opening track.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of a hybrid between Soulmade and the breakdowns in Overdrive type thing.
Yeah, I was thinking either that or there's another band that we talked about, Malfoy.
Yeah, I remember.
That's like that was like a while ago.
Harry Potter.
But no, overall, and I think it's pretty solid. You probably may see this like later in the year, depending on what other EPs drop. But instrumentally, I think it's really good. I just didn't save too much of this EP because it was overshadowed by so much other stuff when I found it.
Yeah.
I think that's an overarching problem with this month, I feel like, is that outside of a certain guy with a certain album on here, actually two guys with certain albums on here.
Hey! You're right.
I don't feel like any album really got its moment to shine, really, for me this month. I don't know, Jacob, do you feel the same way? Like, I feel like I didn't spend a lot of time with anything.
I mean, there was so much quantity of stuff releasing that you didn't get the chance to really spend time with stuff.
During the middle of the month, I think I had an album that shined for me. But towards the end, no, there's just too much.
Yeah. Fucking, what day was that? The
25th was the stupid
25th?
one?
Yeah.
You hate the stupid day.
Fuck that day.
Yeah. Before we move on from the EPs, I do need to there's two other EPs I listened to this month that I didn't throw in the playlist. Magic Whatever released a debut EP featuring like kind of like alt rock kind of stuff. It was good. I enjoyed it. And then Sequoia, a band that we have previously talked about on the podcast, they also released their debut EP. really solid hard rock stuff there as well. So just want to quickly shout out those since we aren't talking about them officially. Let's talk about the albums.
Yeah. First album we're going to be talking about is the band CAMINO with their album The Dark. Feeling down, bad, uptight, sticking to my heart line. Tell me that I'm alright. Lighten up and live a little ice cold blood type talking. How are we feeling about this one?
I mean, it's all right.
Yeah.
By the way, Jacob said that. I get the feeling he's going to say that exact phrase multiple times this episode.
Actually, probably.
This is very band CAMINO for me, where not only does it sound like the band CAMINO album, but then there's like 4 really good songs, and the rest I have to skip every single time.
It's crazy how popular they are, and this is only their second album.
This is only their second
really?
album? I thought they were on like 4.
I thought they were too, and I'm looking at Spotify, and this is only their second.
Okay, well they had like 8 bajillion EPs then, because
yeah, they have a ton of EPs. Like
okay, yeah, they got an 8-song EP. Yeah.
Yeah,
I see through you.
That's really weird. I think this is probably like the most consistently good album on the playlist, I want to say. And I say that because their sound is very, very much well defined. Like when you listen to a band CAMINO song, you are listening to what you get when you click that play button.
That is true.
You know, it's
as opposed to
something like a lot of people complain when the new Dayseeker album dropped. Like that, it's that kind of thing where it's.
I got you.
Their entire style.
You know what
is
you're getting.
melded into each song.
Just had to fuck with it, you know.
Yeah. Couple songs that I listen to here that I still go back to, and there are in my I Don't Have a Problem playlist. Are What Am I Missing and Novocaine. Those songs are very similar to See Through off their Try Hard EP, which is probably still one of their best songs. It's just got really, really good high energy choruses. The fucking the bass and the drums in What Am I Missing in the chorus, really fucking good. Novocaine is like it just goes like back and forth in the instrumentals and everything, and the lyrics, it's all very consistent.
I really liked It's You, Afraid of the Dark, Novocaine, and Last Man in the World. I think are all very, very solid, safe but solid picks. I think this whole album is very safe too. I like you said, it's very band CAMINO. You know what you're getting when you press play. I feel like they haven't really done much with their sound. Would you say that's fair?
They follow the philosophy of if it ain't broke, don't fix.
Yeah, I mean, anything that they experiment with is on other band stuff. Like one of the vocalists features on a couple stuff. He featured on Quicksand by Dayseeker and one of Bill Murray's tracks.
Yeah, with Lorna Shore. That is still the wildest duo feature on any song.
Fucking weird. But no, otherwise, it is what it is. It is what it is.
No, that one Don Broco song is
with
crazy. With like
Action.
4 features.
Action. The half of us are canceled now feature list.
Yeah. No,
pretty
Caleb
much.
Shomo's there.
Yeah, it's Caleb Shomo, Taka Moriuchi, right? From One OK Rock, Tyler Carter, and Tillian.
And Johnny Craig on the thought was on it, right?
No, if Johnny Craig was on it, that'd be the best fucking song of all time. And it would still be the half of us are canceled on this song list.
It really would. That's all I got about this album. It's very consistent. It is what it is.
I think if you like the band CAMINO, you will like this album. If you don't like the band CAMINO, you will probably not like this album.
I mean,
if you're a fan of Star Wars, you might like this album.
I mean, not even the artist itself. It's any of that kind of pop, kind of almost edging into like punk style music. I think it's definitely worth a listen.
For sure.
one of the albums it's definitely polarizing in an opposite way because of the genre. Derek.
Sure. Hail the Sun have dropped their newest album, Divine Intertention. With probably some of my favorite album art of the year. I really like the colors on this. That's what stood out to me.
It is a nice piece of album art. That is true.
I think I bought the vinyl for this. Like, well, I mean, I say that because I think I bought it after only hearing track 1, and only because I was like, wow, I really want to own a physical copy of this art. That's it. I brought my little colored Frisbee with mild expectations.
I do think it's worth noting. Yeah. Like, wasn't Hail the Sun like one of your top albums of 2021?
Yeah, I was just about to say. I think it was number 4. I want to say. I forget a lot of what happened that year. Let's see. Sheet 3. Yup, it was number 4, which I was very surprised about because I'd never really been into Hail the Sun all that much. I like the song here and there, but then they started working with Chris Crummett, who normally works with Dance Gavin Dance, and something really clicked for me. There's something about that production style that I really like. He produced this again, and I think that this is both better and worse than their 2021 album in different ways. I do really think that this has higher peaks. I think that the 2021 album was more consistent. Like, that was, for me, like a 9.5 across the board. I think this album has 10s on it, especially in songs like Chunker, I Saw You Hanging, especially I Saw You Hanging, and Tithe. But lower valleys, maybe around like a 7.5, 8. But when your valleys are a 7.5, 8, you know it's hard to like.
Yeah.
I think maybe personally, I find no issue with any of the instruments here. I think that this is the single best piece of instrumentation in Hail the Sun's discography, and also maybe this year. I think that might be a fair assessment. If it's not the best, it's one of the best. I think that especially their guitar work is leveled up.
Yeah, the guitar work is like super clean and technical and precise just across the entire album.
I also there's enough like proggy math rock elements in this, but I want to say that this is, for me, the first swancore adjacent band that has really transcended that label and made its way into just being like a mathy post-hardcore. They've really matured their sound a lot on this, that in a way that I feel like really shows. Those valleys I find on songs like Maladapted, and even the opener to an extent. And I like Under the Floor as a closer, but I don't think it was as strong as, I think Punch Drunk was the previous closer from last album. So you can fact check me on that. But I really, really like this a lot. I think the lyricism is leveled up. Everything here on its own is better than their previous album, which is a trajectory that I love to see from a band. And I think that it's an instrumental masterclass. It's just not necessarily quite as consistent as the last album. I say that with full expectations of, I'm going to spend some time with some albums in September. End of the year is going to roll around. I'm going to re-listen to this and realize that I was completely wrong about any of those 7.5, 8s, and probably end up with this somewhere in my like top 5 again. Just with how much I do love the songs that I have saved. But yeah, if you want your mind blown by instrumental prowess, but you can't take the time, you need lyrics to accompany you, you know, as opposed to what, like Animals as Leaders, Polyphia, then this is definitely an album you should check out, because they're each individual aspect of the instrumentation, and to every song really has something to appreciate.
I think this album is a far step up from New Age Filth. I really only found like 2, maybe 3 songs off of New Age Filth that I would go back to. This one I added all but like 2 or 3 songs into my playlist.
Hell yeah.
And I would let this album, like I would let the singles and the non-singles run through in my playlist, and I would like just, it was, It feels weird saying this is easy listening because it's very much not in the same way you'd label like a Honey Revenge or something like that. But like, I wasn't like thrown off by it in any way, and like there was never any moment that like took me out of the music, in which some of the songs off of New Age Filth would. I really enjoyed Tunnel Vision Alibi as an opener. I thought Under the Floor as a closer was solid. My favorite non-single is probably The Story Writes Itself. I just feel like lyrically and vocally, the delivery on that song is really solid. Mind Rider as well. That was the first single for this album, and I remember spending a lot of time with that back in January. Admittedly, there weren't very many singles back in January when it came out, so it gave me the opportunity to listen to it more. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed this a lot more than I expected to, and definitely a step up from New Age Filth, in my opinion. I also think it helps that this album has far less uncleans compared to New Age Filth.
That is something else I forgot to mention, yeah. I think, part of that too is I think it gives more opportunity for the cleans to vary, where a lot of the songs on New Age Filth I felt sounded very samey. I think these definitely define themselves more. And I'm talking a lot of about New Age Filth, I feel like. I definitely, in retrospect, wouldn't have it in my top 5 like that anymore. It would still be top 10, but I've kind of fallen a little bit off on that album. Yeah. But for this, I don't know. Full disclosure, I don't know. I'm spoiling things a little bit. This is not currently in my top 10 albums of the year, but it is very close, which makes me think that it's going to make a surprise run to the top 10, top 5 come December. We'll see. Speaking of albums that are not in my top 10, Jake, do you want to talk about this next one, or who should take this? I don't know which of us is fit to...
I think, you know those Mario Party mini games that there's like the 1 versus 3? I think I'm the one here, so I got you. Caskets have dropped their sophomore album, Reflections. Hello, let me introduce myself as the Caskets apologist for this intervention.
Intervention
for us or for you? Are we
Yes.
your enjoyment of this album, or like what's going on here?
We're here for his TED Talk.
I mean, maybe. But I feel like going into the release of this album, there were two mindsets going in. That this album was not as good as Lost Souls, and it's bland, and this album is not as good as Lost Souls, but it still has its moments.
Yeah, I'd say that. That's fair from my perspective.
So, I think that Lost Souls has far higher peaks. Songs like Drowned in Emotion, Glass Heart, The Final Say, Hopes and Dreams even is like a middle interlude track. Was great. Lost Souls really felt like a special experience of an album, whereas this feels like 10 really solid post-hardcore songs with a little bit of a story thrown in there. Believe and Better Way Out, I think, open and close the album perfectly fine. And like you get that typical kind of like post-hardcore, like anxiety, depression type of lyricism, especially in Better Way Out. You get the closer of like just like reach out for help type of thing. But I do feel like there are some standout moments on the other songs on here that, from what I can tell, you guys are not giving enough credit for. I don't know if that's a fair judgment or if I'm just like speaking
Keep
for
going,
you guys.
I'm listening.
But I think that on More Than Misery, you really hear Matt's vocal delivery shine in the chorus of Drag Me Down because I'm better off lost than found. Just specifically that delivery on Drag Me Down, I think is fantastic. And then you also get the feature from Telly from The World Alive, and I think he sounds incredible on this song. His feature for the breakdown is fantastic. There's a small section where Matt and Telly both sing part of the breakdown vocals. Telly screams it, Matt sings it. It's beautiful. My favorite song on the album by far. I think songs like In the Silence and Too Late are both solid. Just like solid post-hardcore songs. But the real standout non-single for me is 6 Feet Down, where I feel like Matt really gets to flex his vocals in probably the most similar light to what he's able to do on Lost Souls. And then you also get an instrumental Well, not an instrumental breakdown. You get a breakdown in a Caskets song without the harsh vocals. And I think that's the biggest point of contention that we're going to have here. Where I think Caskets doesn't need to have harsh vocals on their breakdowns. I mean, it works great on More Than Misery. But I don't think it's a necessity, and I don't think the songs are worse because of it. I think that Matt's vocal delivery on A War That I Wage into like that kind of melodramatic delivery for the rest of the breakdown works. Is it a little overplayed throughout the album? Yeah, sure. I think it's a little, like, it definitely happens. Like, you can tell that, like, oh, it's building up into a breakdown, then every single time it's that same melodramatic delivery. But I don't think it's inherently wrong, because I still think it conveys the emotion that is trying to be conveyed by this album and by the songs. All that said, I really enjoyed this. It's a borderline top 10 album of the year for me.
I mean, admittedly, like, the songs individually are really good. Like, instrumentally, I think instrumentally this is better than Lost Souls, is what I'll mention on that. Lyrically, it all kind of blends together. And then I gave this album a couple listens. I still have Better Way Out, Silhouettes, In the Silence, More Than Misery, and Believe saved. But I wish Matt would vary his vocal delivery.
I kind of agree with Justin. It doesn't even have to be like unclean. It doesn't have to be screaming. I just feel like this album is a little one-noted.
It all sounds the same, and
it's definitely more one-noted than Lost Souls. But I don't think like you guys. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I'm interpreting it, but the way you guys are making it come across, it makes it sounds like he's like emotionless in his vocal delivery.
I've never said that.
I think it's too much of the same.
Okay,
that's the distinction I want to make there.
Yeah, I've never said he is emotionless. It's more so it all sounds too similar, and especially hearing him live and knowing that he can vary up his vocal delivery if he actually tried. It's a bit of a disappointment.
I almost think like even getting another one of the guys to sing might be
like a dual clean vocalist dynamic. Yeah,
a little bit of shift in there I think would be fine, but otherwise, they're good at what they do. It's great. They're fucking successful.
Fun live.
Yeah,
crazy successful right now. Remember when we checked them out, they were less than like tens of thousands of monthly listeners, and they're like 1 point something mil.
1.6, I think.
That's crazy.
1.7.
Crazy.
Even more popular than Dayseeker and Holding Absence, which they're
that's
on that tour with them, right? Like that's
it's so wild.
I remember it was Glass Heart, and I think Lost in Echoes were both getting like Octane radio play. And I think that this album, I think the best way that I could put it would be that it's stuck. Like if I heard it, it's stuck in between, in a sense that if I heard it on the radio, I'd be like, wow, this is really good for like a rock radio song. But then I hear it compared to stuff that's not on the radio, and I'm like, it's fine. Like
I think I almost feel like this would be better as like an EP. Cut a few songs.
I could get behind that, actually. I could get behind that. Admittedly, it's because I don't have very many EPs I'm very attached to this year. But
it's fine. It's like I can microdose Caskets. But an album is just too much of the same.
I think Believe is my favorite song, funnily enough.
Good one.
Yeah. I do think Believe is a better opener than The Only Ones. That's probably like the biggest step up that they've made, whereas I think the peaks across the rest of Reflections are much lower than Lost Souls. I do think Believe is a stronger opener than The Only Ones.
I bet if their name was still Captives, this would be a better album.
I saw someone at his show with Captives merch.
That's
and I was
awesome.
just like,
dude,
that's an OG right there.
You could be OG. Yeah.
I think my hat that I have is actually Captive's hat. I'll have a look.
My sweatshirt is before they had to do the name change, but it doesn't say it anywhere. It's just the C logo. So you can't tell.
The only other shirt I have is one of the Lost Souls promotions.
But yeah,
with all that being said,
it's an like I don't hate it. I'm just not very attached to it as well.
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's just a all right album. I mean, it's all right.
If you like post-hardcore and you like clean vocals primarily, and you don't I think it's more if you like post-hardcore and you don't like harsh vocals. Caskets are that band.
Oh yeah, no, and especially like you can pick any random song from this album and really enjoy it because there's a lot of good stuff.
That is another thing I would like to say is like putting these songs individually in a playlist, they'll all be good. It's just too much of the same. It's kind of like Lorna Shore, actually, in that way.
Real, actually. Yeah.
It's just too much of the same.
Yeah. But otherwise...
we haven't touched on Guiding Light. Guiding Light's another really solid song on this album.
Wasn't that the lead single?
It was the lead single,
That was the lead single, yeah.
It was the lead single, yeah. I just wanted to touch on it since we hadn't really touched on it yet here.
Shall we move on?
Oh, that's up to Jake. Is Jake done?
No, I'm good.
All right. We're on to my part of the show.
You've been waiting for this one.
I have been waiting, admittedly.
Is this album artwork allowed on YouTube?
I don't know. We'll find out. New band for the podcast. Band from Australia, so you know they drink the good water. This band called Tapestry with their debut album, The Pain You Desire, The Love You Deserve.
I say this, I think probably twice a year. Is this the best debut album by a new band ever? Maybe
yeah,
not.
Jake has a point.
Very true.
I want to make a comment here, but I have to refrain myself for fear
you got 4 or 5 albums to go, buddy. Let's.
I'm waiting for the "it's fine," and then my soul just.
Oh, this is more than fine. This is more than fine.
I know. I'm excited. So this, I've been silent. No, I've been reserved about this album dropping since I heard one of the singles, "Descent," and I was blown away. Really fucking good single. And then I went back, listened to the other singles. "I Don't Belong Here," really good. Hutchinson House was a slow, kind of very acoustic sounding song while not sounding too slow and, livening up the energy.
Hutchinson Terrace is not acoustic.
Somewhat acoustic. Compared to like most of the stuff here, it had a lower energy, but either way. Okay. Then I went back to their debut EP, Ghost of Me, and I was kind of skeptical. That debut EP left a lot to be desired, admittedly. It was quite unfortunate. But I still gave it the time and the opportunity. I went in this cautiously optimistic, as we like to say here. And this is one of my best songs of the year. Best albums of the year. It was so fucking good. The entire theme of like this open relationship that's kind of descending downward. And you get like the first half of the album like kind of suffering and sacrificing through that monotony and through that chaos, and then you get into Arrive, which is different than the album in the way of like instrumentation, and it almost feels like the ripping and tearing, like in the namesake of Rive is to tear apart, and it feels like that kind of shift. And then the rest of the album, at least I think up until I think from Static and Violent Pictures onward, it's like in a third person of sort. Like it's like the I am this, the person that the album's talking about in the first half of the album has like moved on, or in worst case, a lot of this is about suicide, so maybe they died, and it's now focusing on the other person and that relationship. I loved that change, and once that kind of clicked with me, like I understood this entire album, and that's not even like going into track by track. Like each one of these songs is so fucking good. I've already talked about the singles. My 2 favorite tracks from the album. To ask me on a different day, I'm going to give you a different one. But Turning Blind and The Pain You Desire and The Love You Deserve,
Those are today's choices.
Those are my 2 choices. You ask me on a different day, and I'll shift between one or the 2. But like, they are phenomenal. Turning Blind, it has a phenomenal chorus. The lyrics kind of suffering and sacrificing over a relationship. You get a really delicious unclean breakdown, and then a small shift, and then a guitar solo. So good. Going back into I Don't Belong Here, that was one of my favorite songs for a while, because you get crazy instrumentals going into a really good chorus, and then the surprise of the I Don't Belong Here on the uncleans on that lyric alone. Almost like a like an affirmation of sort to really fit the theme of this album in general. And then that fading out into like an uncleans, really, really good. I loved the theming for Marionette and Rive, while not being my 2 highestly played songs on the album. Really good in the context of it all. It's just, I think the uncleans on Marionette, I think don't stick with me all that much, but that's fine. I still enjoy it and still saved. Let Me Leave is a really good, very high energy song, kind of like atmospheric almost with its instrumentals. Another surprise unclean portion. The lyrics for that, let me find them here real quick. So just watch me walk away from everything I love to fly with the doves, to be amongst purity. Don't clip my wings or chain my feet. Just let me leave. Really good lyricism all throughout this album. And that's not even talking about the phenomenal single that is Descent. It is so good. It features another Australian vocalist with the band Bloom, who does the uncleans on this song, and it's just that like back and forth of high energy, cleans into uncleans into chorus, cleans, uncleans, chorus. Works so well. It's such an easy cookie cutter recipe that always works for me, and I hate it and I love it at the same time. Just so much I could say about this fucking album. It's so good. That being said, I did look at reviews for this, and some things were correct on this, where a lot of it can stagnate a little bit, especially if you go from like Marionette probably down to Violent Pictures. Mm-hmm. I think if like individually some of those songs don't really work well together, you really have to like listen to them in the context of the album to like really kind of understand and enjoy them more. But I don't care.
You're so real for that.
Yeah. It's still so such a really good. I've loved this album ever since it's dropped. I don't want to talk about how many plays I have on this fucking thing compared to everything else.
I'm gonna go find out actually right now.
I can tell you.
While you do that,
I can tell you. I'm looking at it right now. I can tell you.
I'm gonna do this. Okay. What do you mean the server members at? Man, okay, so here, yo guys talk about the album. I'm gonna run this, and then Jacob and Jake can both guess and see if they're over or under.
Okay,
Derek, I'm looking at it. If you want to guess as well, that's fine.
No, this is a head-to-head between Jake and Jacob.
Okay,
what am I doing?
Jake, talking about the album.
We are guessing how many plays Justin has across the individual songs on this album. But anyway, what I was gonna say before all of that is that there are a couple of bands that come to mind when I listen to this album. Those being Holding Absence. Mm-hmm. Which might sound a little weird, but I think in like the lyrical depth that this album provides, it reminds me of Holding Absence a lot. And you do get that stellar Queen vocal delivery. But I also get a bit of Wind Waker from their debut album last year, which I wasn't super fond of. And I think
another band that drinks the good Australian water.
And what I think is so fitting about Holding Absence and Wind Waker as my comparisons for this album is that both of those bands are absolutely fantastic and rarely ever stick out to me. And that is exactly how I feel about this album. Because I listened to this front to back and I struggle to find you a flaw. And then I also have very little desire to go back to it outside of a couple of songs.
That makes me sad.
It's a similar effect to how I felt about the Rain City Drive album from last year. Where, like, outside of Waiting on You and Cutting It Close, like, yeah, everything I heard is fine. But there isn't something that's, like, I feel like I'm missing out if I'm not going back to it. This feels like another one of those albums that's just fantastic, and this band's next album is going to be incredible. Like, any future releases that this band is going to drop are, like, I am very curious to hear more from this band, because I think they have extremely high potential. In the same way that, like, Caskets or, like, Wind Waker, Holding Absence, any of those types of bands that I mentioned have blown up. I think Tapestry is well on that path with this debut album. Outside of the opening 2 songs and Marionette and Violent Pictures to an extent, I really haven't connected with too much of it. It's all solid. If I throw it on, I'm not complaining. But it's one of those things where, like, I get to the end of the song and I feel like I barely remember what I just heard.
What do you think about a Traceless comparison?
Yeah,
I can get behind that.
I can
get behind that.
I also kind of thought of, like, Picturesque, especially in, like, the vocal delivery, or maybe even a Too Close to Touch. I don't know. That's just on the vocals.
Yeah, I can see a little bit of both.
So we're gonna play the game where we guess now.
Oh, well, see, I tried, but according to the bot, Justin has never listened to this album. So
why are you checking the bot? You could have just checked my last FM, or I could just do this and message you it.
Oh, he just messaged me it. Oh wow, the bot is out of date. The bot is out of date. Okay, we're gonna start the bidding. Never mind. Jake, guess how many listens does Justin have to this album? Like to all the tracks in the album.
612.
Fuck, I was gonna guess 600.
Jacob?
I was gonna guess 600. I'll go 450.
That's Jake wins.
Isn't Jacob closer?
No, Jacob's closer.
He's closer, but he undershot it. It's 529.
Yeah, 529.
Which is almost as many plays as I had on
we were right in the middle
last year.
Yeah, it's so fucking wild.
That's funny how we just, like, perfectly went to both ends.
Yo, we need to have, like, the Price is Right tournament or some shit. Y'all were a little too close with that.
Crazy. One of the other before we move on off this album, because I've said pretty much everything I wanted.
Well, I feel like Derek hasn't really gotten to speak about this album too much yet.
I would like to briefly put in that this album fucks.
Hell yeah! All agreement.
There is no bad song on this album. Not one. Hold on, I have my doc up so I can fact check myself this time. I would say that this and Dead Lakes are probably the two most consistently good across the board albums that I've heard. That to me, none of these are like a 10
for Silent Planet.
Right? Well, I guess part of what I mean to that is that none of them are a 10, but also none of them are not a 9. Everything here is just so good. This is a product of August for me that I haven't had the chance to listen to this more than twice. But there is so much lyrically and just overall to appreciate here that once there's a lull, which unless Conquer Divide fucking blows my socks off, which it probably will, but if it doesn't, these first couple weeks of September, I think I'm definitely going to gain a new appreciation of this album. One that is, again, not... I feel like I've spoiled a lot of my top 10 this episode, but it's not in my top 10, but it is damn fucking close, and all it needs is a little bit more time to...
All I want to hear at the end of the year is top 10 list, Derek, Tapestry.
It's number 13 right now, behind Hail the Sun.
I've fucked up Jacob with being his number 1 in 2020.
Actually, all of my... I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I think I fucked up Jake at one point. So
this
now
you fucked me up multiple times. Like,
yeah.
you've taken my number.
I don't apologize. It's worth it.
It's really funny because my 11, 12, and 13 are all albums released this month.
Crazy. Yeah, I want to reference the title track again, just because it's so good. It's got like a constant sound all throughout it until you get to the second chorus, where it says, "But there's something that's left inside that you just won't seem to come out unless you're drunk or high, fleeting the solace of what you desire, of what you deserve." The vocal delivery shift on that in that second chorus when those lyrics were added, and then the lull of the instrumentation down into like the more softer side of the song. So good. So good. Guys, would it be crazy to say if this was somewhere in my top 10?
Honestly, I don't know anymore. I feel like it might be your most disappointing album of the year.
I don't know. At this fucking point, who knows?
If we had I feel like if we could give alignments to everybody's top 10, you're definitely
absolutely chaotic evil.
It's chaotic evil for sure.
What's
that begs
mine?
the question:
I'm the
what is everybody else
one.
is? Jake's is probably like lawful neutral or some shit.
Lawful neutral, I could see that.
Or neutral good, some neutral.
Jacob would probably be like a neutral good.
I feel like mine's pretty obvious.
I almost want to say Jacob is chaotic good because you get like Alpha Wolf next to Garden.
Fair, yeah.
No Garden album this year, I don't think. Right?
Unfortunately, no.
I think Derek is also just chaotic good because of the range of music.
Hey guys, here's my top 10. We haven't talked about 7 of these albums. Let's go. It's just as bad this year, folks.
Is there anything else we want to say on this album before we move on? I need a reason to shut up about it.
No, other than if you aren't already convinced to listen to this, vouch, yeah.
Bro, listen to this album, please. I beg of you.
There have been a lot of damn good debut albums this year. This is another one to add to that list.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Derek. This next band also previously held a spot in your previous top 10 albums of the year.
It did, but so did it in Jacob's, and he didn't add an album this month, so I'm gonna toss this one to him.
Oh man.
You also like this album more than all of us, I think, so.
Movements have released their 3rd album, I think?
Yeah.
Ruckus.
So impressed with your dedication. I guess you really made it. And I hope you...
Which is in contention for worst album art of the year.
I would challenge anybody to find one that's worse.
Yeah.
Except maybe
Picturesque.
Red.
Picturesque.
Yeah. Yeah. Let this be a lesson. Do not just make your album art letters. I guess they're trying to go for like a circus type of vibe, but like maybe
this is not a circus type of vibe.
No,
I thought it was
all.
like
So I don't know
1980s like cartoonish TV ad type thing.
This is like the album is coming out in 2 days, and the album art file corrupted on the hard drive. Shit. What do we do? We're all in a boardroom.
Microsoft Word.
Yeah, right. So, what do we think about the quality of the album in comparison to the album art?
This is a better album than No Good Left to Give.
That is not true, but this is a pretty good album.
Sorry, Derek, you making that sound made me think of the Family Guy like dad.
Dude, that
somebody photoshopped Derek's purple face on that. His mouth is open perfectly.
Dude, I just
hold on.
I had a physical and unprompted reaction to that sentence.
Yeah, other than what's the ghost song on that album? I can't remember.
Don't give up your ghost.
Don't give up your ghost and Skin to Skin. No Good Left to Give was kind of forgettable to me. I'm sorry.
Oh.
This album, I would take Fail You, Killing Time, and Tightrope over anything off of that album.
Man's picking all the singles.
This is certainly a Jake take, if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Jake. I think this album is...
Take it from someone who is not very fond of movements and is now very pleased with what I got. Can we at least settle there?
I won't settle, but for the sake of complicity, I'll allow
You're
it.
not one of us now.
No.
Understood.
I'm going to take out a lead pipe.
And send him to heaven.
I
hope
Make me
choke, Jake.
Make me do a little dance with death.
You have failed me.
Understood.
At this point, we're just killing time.
Yeah, true. I mean, at least we split this episode into two, so we can.
Real.
I enjoyed this album a lot more than I thought I would. Going into it, I was really underwhelmed by the 3 singles I listened to, which were Killing Time, Lead Pipe, and Fail You, all the songs Jake mentioned before. I was very underwhelmed by...
Tightrope. I mentioned Tightrope.
Oh, you did mention Tightrope. That is a single,
4, though.
That is a single I did not listen to until I heard the album. And I wanted to mention it last episode, but Tightrope, songs that are named Tightrope this month kind of popped off.
Yeah.
Although this was released a little earlier.
Shout out Tightrope by The Score, which was released in 2017. Another good song named Tightrope, anyway.
So, Derek, I feel like this subject matter is actually very similar to previous movements but the tone of the album is not.
I concur with that.
Sense.
Nope, I'm right there with you.
Which I'm kind of okay with. Yeah, I thought this album not better than No Good Left to Give It, like I said, but definitely surprised me. And songs that I really enjoyed are like I said, Tightrope, You're One of Us Now, AMP, which I still don't know what that means, but
a movements project.
Really?
No, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I gotta read lyrics from Tightrope because that is by far my favorite song, and I had that on repeat for like 2 weeks. Especially like the ending when they blend the chorus with the
I know, I'm with you.
So I'm gonna read some. So can I try to be somebody you could love? I don't know if I could ever measure up, but you took my breath like water in my lungs, and I would die to be somebody you could love.
It's a beautiful song.
God. Yeah.
I would say definitely the most emotional song on the album, I think.
That is what got me, dude. The emotion, don't remind me I could never be enough. Yeah. That part as well. The bridge and the chorus mixed together. Yeah, I really just love the emotion. You get almost. I feel like that song could even fit on No Good Left to Give.
I think it's the most similar to No Good Left to Give. Admittedly, I haven't spent as much time, but from what I remember of that album that I did not spend very much time with, Tightrope is more in line with that compared to the rest of the album, which is a bit of a sonic difference. Like, it's definitely, I think what you said about like lyrically similar, but like the tone is different is very accurate. Like, this album has a very different energy to it. It's more upbeat and involved instrumentally than No Good Left to Give was, and I think that's why I'm liking it more. Because the songs that were more involved instrumentally on No Good Left to Give, like Don't Give Up Your Ghost, were the songs that I enjoyed more. And songs like Killing Time and Fail You, which have really memorable guitar and bass moments in the chorus and the verses, stick with me. And I also think the vocal delivery on those songs are much more hooky than movement songs in the past.
I can agree with that. There's the picture. Yeah, I got the chorus of AMP stuck in my head as well. I also noticed, like, on that song, it's a lot more. It's not really sad. It's more like lustful, honestly. Which you get a little bit of mixture between sad, lustful, sad, which is kind of like we've been getting a lot of that lately with like Bad Omens, Sleep Token.
Horny core.
Yeah, that's the word. Derek, what is your favorite song?
I Hope You Choke.
That is
Good pick.
not what I expected.
That seems excessive. How dare you?
Fuck your question.
I
think it's that, and then Tightrope, and then either Coeur d'Alene or You're One of Us Now. I thought I Hope You Choke was kind of like okay the first time I heard it, but I couldn't get it out of my head, and then I just listened to it like 30 times in a row. And I was like,
Yeah.
this song fucks.
The delivery of I Hope You and then that slight pause before choke.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's surprisingly catchy.
I can't believe that, because I honestly think that's like one of my least favorite songs on the album. Just because of that delivery itself, it's a little odd, and
it's definitely a hit or miss delivery. I'll say like the first time I heard that, I'm like, and I was mid on it. I'm like, I'm either gonna end up loving this or hating this. Like, it's very, I don't even want to say unorthodox because I feel like I've heard it a lot, or at least before, but different than anything else on the album, which makes it, I guess, a little bit more polarizing. But no, I ended up loving it. I still don't love this album as a whole. I think I will forever be stuck in. I finally, you know what it is? It's the day that I become a scene boomer, because I am now complaining about a band changing their sound.
I'm already a scene boomer. I hate metalcore.
Yeah, metalcore. Are we talking about any metalcore albums? We aren't, are we? Oh no, we are.
Yeah, we are.
I love that album.
It's funny because most of the shows I go to are metalcore.
Yeah, right. It's cursed with the fact that like the new material is for the most part so played out and boring, but it's never gonna be bad live. Like, I'm never gonna not enjoy a live breakdown.
Yeah.
I will continue complaining about these bands and buying tickets to their album tours.
That's honestly so true.
Oh God.
So when's the Movement song with a breakdown?
I mean,
we got some.
I would say maybe there might be something
feel
close
like
on that first EP.
Well, I haven't gone that far back, so
Yeah, you need to make
the
move. You need to make a movement to their discography.
I very much do. After No Good Left to Give, I really didn't have much desire to go further back into their discography. After this album, I'm more curious now.
Yeah, I think the problem with this for me is that, like you mentioned, Jacob, the more that I listen to some of these songs, the more I realize that a lot of the same lyricism that I love is still there. It's just, I feel like it works very well in conjunction with the older Movement sound, and not so much with this. Which is why, like, Tightrope and Coeur d'Alene, I feel like strike a bit stronger of a chord with me than some of the other songs.
I can't agree. Honestly, I feel like we're gonna be talking about this at the end of the year. This might be a sleeper, like a high top 10, like 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah.
For me.
If the last three songs didn't leave me as underwhelmed as I am about them,
you think AMP is underwhelming?
Yeah, I agree.
mean, You're One of Us Now and I Hope You Choke are the only of the non-singles that really did anything for me. Those last three, I did not spend much time
AMP.
with. Like, if those last three songs were songs that I found more enjoyment out of, I think we're talking about a sleeper top 10 for me, even.
The songs I like
with how much time I spent with Killing Time and Fail You, and even Tightrope, with like how much of an emotional chord that song hits, like, this album is so close to being on that borderline for me. Which is not something I would have expected to have said after how I felt about No Good Left to Give.
It's funny for me because the songs I like on this album are mirrored. So I like the opener and the closer and the 4 songs in the middle. But track 2 and 3, Killing Time and Lead Pipe, and then AMP and Dance with Death, I don't like all that much.
A lot of conflicting opinions going on.
I gotta sell AMP for you.
This might be the most
so
polarizing
groovy.
album. I will say that of the songs that I did not like, I have not gone back to them. So there is an opportunity. I was just very honestly a little bit bored listening to this album at points.
Your expectations ruined it for you.
It really, they did, but I want movements. It's not a case of like, I wish I could get over my own expectations so I could enjoy this. It's, I actively want those expectations to be met. I think older movements material just means too much to me at this point, that like deviations from that, I will find, at least if this album is any indication, I will find value in them, but I will never like them as much.
I can't, like, I'm really connected to, or I was really connected to No Good Left to Give, but not any other previous works, I guess, except maybe The Gray, but that's about it. Like, I don't know. I guess I can differentiate the albums. It's not an artist that I'm like, oh, they have to sound like this or else I don't like them. It's more like I appreciate. It's kind of like Boston Manor for me. I was like, I love Welcome to the Neighborhood, but I also I hate Glue, but then I also love Datara, or however you say it.
Yeah, I got no clue.
Anyway, I feel like we talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about this enough. Justin, give us one sentence of your thoughts on this album.
And what is your favorite song?
It good, I guess. Question mark.
And your favorite song?
Honestly, I didn't have any of them saved, so I think the one that stuck with the most was Tightrope.
Good choice.
We take those.
All right.
If not
Tightrope,
if not Tightrope, it was Killing Time.
All right, good picks, Justin. Let's move on to this next album.
The one I didn't hear because the closer is what it is.
Yeah, so I feel like we've mentioned a lot lately about how many bands are dropping the closer as not just a single, but the lead single. The primary culprit of that sin is what we're about to talk about. Point North and their album Prepare for Despair.
So beat me like a punching bag. I can take more hits than you'll ever get. Watch me bleed into nothing no more.
No. The first one to do it was Imminence, and I hate them for it.
True, actually. True. That's very true.
Actually, it wasn't the lead single, but it was I think it was the second single.
Second, yeah. So maybe Point North are the lead culprit still then. I retract my retractment.
He's sticking with the statement.
Yes.
All right, all times Point North.
Point North was a top 10 album of 2020 for me with their debut album Brand New Vision, and it was one of Justin's favorite albums of that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Was my
like number 2, number 3, something like that.
Yeah, top 3.
The difference between then and now is that after that album, Point North were touring with the likes of Concrete Castles. Now they are the support for an Escape the Fate tour.
Ooh.
And I feel like that kind of sums up the change in sound.
That does sum up the change in sound.
Yeah.
I didn't even listen to this album, and I already know.
With that being said, I do think there are some really good songs on here, and there are redeeming qualities to it. It is just not the same consistency and high peaks that Brand New Vision was able to reach with songs like Into the Dark and Are You Listening? Or No One's Listening, I mean. I think songs like Recover, what is the other one? Someone You Don't Know, bangers. Even other songs. I think Dark Days as a closer is really solid. Safe and Sound, really solid. It's just, Point North kind of lost their unique identity, I feel like. They sound, I hate saying it, but they do sound a little more generic at this point.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, they're getting like, Safe and Sound was like one of the top songs on Octane I saw on Instagram not too long ago. So like, clearly it's working for him.
That's a banger. I will not talk poorly of that song.
But just like as an album, I don't know, it's just not hitting the same. I think of like, there was a lot of moments on Brand New Vision that made it stick out, and I think like one of the songs that really did it for me was Distant, is like that really slow track in the middle of the album.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare for Despair doesn't have a song like that. I think at most you get like Your Wish Is My Command, and even then it's not really that. It's not the same as A Distant. I don't know. I do think that like this album has redeeming qualities. I don't want to shit on it because I did find a lot of things to like about it. I enjoyed it almost more than I expected to, but it didn't really stick with me for too long. And I also think that's partially just a victim of its release date, of it being August and how stacked it was. I definitely spent more time listening to Movements compared to this Point North album.
Yeah, I will say I gave this its fair time. I actually listened to this and Caskets before I listened to Tapestry one. They all dropped on the same day. And yeah, there's a lot of good songs on here. Below the Belt, I think, is one of my favorites because it's got it drifts away from that kind of punky rock style, almost kind of like goes into a hard rock kind of anthemic rock style, especially with the chorus, and you get some underlying electronics, like especially like in the fade outs of the choruses. It's really good. It's got really good energy to it. Prayer for Despair was a good song. The opener, Like a Weapon, it's a really good opener, probably one of the better ones of the playlist. But overall, you know, you pretty much hit on the nail what I was gonna go for. Like, there's a lot of,
it just doesn't leave an impact.
Yeah, and when I go back and I look back at fucking Brand New Vision and the songs that I still listen to, Personal, Lethal, Apologue, No One's Listening, Nothing Left to Lose, like so many really, really good songs that stick longer than anything off this album is gonna stick with. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I do want to touch on Dark Days because I did mention it being a good closer. With Dark Days being the lead single, which is a little disappointing, I do think that Dark Days works surprisingly well as the closer. Like, I got to Dark Days and lyrically, like, what Dark Days is saying, like, makes sense after you listen to Recover and Someone You Don't Know and everything that precedes it. Like, it works as a good closer, and, like, the shock factor of that, I think, would have made it a much more satisfying listen if it hadn't been in my playlist for a year and a half already.
This album definitely, I don't know if it's just the album art or Your Wish Is My Command. This definitely gives me Don't Panic era style of All Time Low.
I can't, from what I've heard, I'll give that to you. I have not heard this album before. So.
Specifically, I think Your Wish Is My Command sounds vaguely familiar in one of the songs off the album. And I'm gonna have to, now it's bothering me because I have to know what song off that album is. Hold on.
While you're looking that up, my favorite of the non-singles is Up on a Hill. We haven't touched on it yet, but I think the chorus in that song is really solid. Just definitely the one that stuck with me the most. Like, I would listen to Psycho, Prepare for Despair, Below the Belt, and they were all good songs, but like the chorus wouldn't get stuck in my head. Whereas Up on a Hill, that line of like, I'm in a grave up on a hill, like I had that memorized after just a few listens. So I don't know, I really enjoyed that song. Probably my favorite non-single. I still think Recover and Someone You Don't Know are better, but this album definitely gets better the further you go. So if you can make it past the first few, I think it's an enjoyable listen.
This song I was thinking of from All Time Low is The Irony of Choking on a Lifesaver. I forgot that was a song title. In fucking, what year did this album drop? 2012? That
was 11 years ago.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Any last comments on this Point North album, or are we good to move on?
That's all I got.
Justin, tell us about this next one.
We got The Word Alive coming back with the newest album, Hard Reset.
I think this is their seventh.
This is their seventh album?
Yeah, a lot.
Mm.
So, I think The Elephant in the Room is the most goated feature list of any album ever, potentially.
It's so fucking wild. You get fucking Bad Omens, Loveless, Normandy, and From First to Last. Escape
Now,
the
I know
Fate's
I
good,
was
guess.
just shitting on Escape the Fate when we were talking about Point North, but I actually think the Escape the Fate feature on Fade Away kind of works out really nice.
You know what I really, really, really want to know
What?
is if they took that League of Legends song off of the Word Lives page,
Yes.
how many monthly listeners would they have? I am so curious.
Yeah. Ooh. There's probably some math to be done. What are the first week or first couple week numbers on this? I'm gonna say,
Because remember, last year on that Crown the Empire tour, they were third billing under Drug, who took like a 10-year hiatus.
yeah, I bet they would be at like 400, 500,000.
That's what I was gonna say, like 600K,
Yeah.
which is insane to me. Now I have no way of knowing, but
Right, yeah, exactly.
Well, no, especially with the Bad Omens feature, I think the album's gonna inflate a little bit more than what it normally would. But overall, I think for a quote unquote hard reset of their sound, I think they're going in the right direction. Mind you, this is talking from the same person that really liked Monomania when that dropped.
Now, as someone that didn't like Monomania very much, I think this album is very much a step up.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite songs on here are still the singles, Nocturnal Future and Slow Burn. Slow Burn just hits that emotional chord in the delivery, and Nocturnal Future is just a fantastic metalcore song. I do think this album's a bit of a victim of its release date, but I also think there are a lot of redeeming qualities.
Don't get too used to saying that now.
Yeah, it's just true though. It's unfortunately just the truth. For me, anyway. I think if this album releases on not October 25th, I spend a lot more time with songs like One of Us and A New Empty and Fade Away and Invisible Army.
So speaking about the Word of Life, my favorite run of songs on here is from Fade Away to Invisible Army. So it's Fade Away, A New Empty, Static Rain, and Invisible Army. Static Rain is probably my favorite off this album.
Nocturnal Future, sad.
Well, that's why I said 4, not 5. And also, that's a single, so I don't really care all that much.
Sad.
But as far as new songs going into this, that run of 4 tracks is really good. But Nocturnal Future was good live.
The thing I want to say is New Reality and Nocturnal Future, both singles. I don't know. Was there any more? I can't remember. Slow Burn. Maybe?
Strange Love
and single.
Slow Burn was fantastic. I almost said it was delicious.
And Hate Me was one, but we didn't talk about that.
So, particularly Nocturnal Future and Strange Love grew on me a lot after hearing it in the album.
I agree on Nocturnal Future.
I was always a Nocturnal Future believer, so...
Did I say Strange Love? I meant New Reality.
You did say Strange Love.
I meant New Reality and Nocturnal Future. That's what I meant.
Gotcha.
Strange Love wasn't a single, was it?
No, it was. Strange
Oh,
Love was a single.
It was,
I remember.
Strange Love, Slow Burn, Hate Me, and Nocturnal Future.
There's too many.
Reality.
Yeah, I remember Strange Love being a single because I really liked it, but I didn't like it enough to make it one of the songs I added to the playlist, whatever month it came out. Overall, I think this is a really solid album from front to back. I don't.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought Jake would say.
I don't think there's really a dip in quality anywhere here.
I don't think it's terrible either. I don't think it's exceptional either. I think it's just middle of the pack. All right.
I will say this is probably this coupled with a couple of features that Telly has done in the last couple months is some of Telly's best vocal work. We'll be talking about one of them next month.
For sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well, while we're on the topic, of the August 25th albums, I listened to 8 albums from August 25th, which is fucking insane. We're only talking about, I think, 4 of them here. But The Word Alive was my 3rd favorite. Behind the presumably very obvious top two.
Yeah, I'd say those are a little. We'll get
That's
to
A little
those.
obvious. With that being said, there were a couple of underwhelming songs on here. I am still not huge on New Reality, and I also think that War With You is a bit of an underwhelming closer.
That's
an okay take.
I really like how aggressive he gets at the end of War With You. That's what makes it seem like a closer.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't spend that much time with War With You, and how much time I spent with other songs on this album that I connected to more. War With You kind of just fell to the wayside. With that being said about the closer being underwhelming, I think the opener of The Word Alive Is Dead into Hard Reset is a fantastic way to open this album.
I hate the name Word Alive Is Dead. That is
it's because of the marketing for this was that The Word Alive is not the band, it's the fan base. So it's saying like the past is dead essentially, and this is like where they're going from here.
I feel like there's like multiple meanings actually. It's like the word alive is not alive, it's dead. Or it's them being like cringy, like, oh, the word alive isn't heavy anymore. We're dead. They're dead.
They could be poking fun at themselves. In Fame on Fire cover band type style.
Bring Me did that too with
heavy metal.
Mm-hmm. It was way better executed. If that was the intention with that song, Bring Me did it way better. I don't know the intention though. I didn't really read the lyrics.
Regardless of the name of the song, I think it just works fantastically as an opener. You get like this very somber opening before this just like explosion of energy. And then Hard Reset as the title track was a really solid metalcore song. Like, I generally prefer Telly's clean vocals to his harsher vocals.
Agreed.
But the fast guitars and drums of Hard Reset were really working for me on that song.
I do, sort of to that same effect, I do want to say that I think that this album as a whole is their best work instrumentally that I've heard. Or if nothing else, at least on the mix, I felt that the bass in particular was really, really clear on this album. And there was, I want to say it was Static Rain. I can't remember. It was either that or New Reality. But one of them had like this insane bass lick on it. And like it just felt like the rest of the band members were flexing instrumentally. I don't know, it was something that stood out to me and really drew me into each song, even if I was overall very whelmed to go off what we were saying.
So, do you think that the title being Hard Reset is like a statement? Like they're gonna
hope not.
More, because this is obviously more metalcore than the last few releases, which have been more of a post-hardcore-y sound. And this is like, feels like we're going back to not exactly what we had at the beginning of The Word Alive, but definitely in that direction, which is metalcore.
I mean,
I don't know.
I guess.
I mean, it's hard for me to tell because I haven't been listening to this band
really
for too long.
All that different, honestly. Sorry, what, Jake?
It's hard for me to tell like what Hard Reset means just because I haven't been listening to this band for too long. Monomania was the first full album of theirs I've heard. I haven't gone back to Violent Noise other than like a handful of singles that I really like Why Am I Like This is fantastic.
I don't think I've heard
all their songs, but
I don't think I've heard Real or Dark Matter in full. Honestly.
While we're on the topic of older material, actually, one of my favorite songs by The Word Alive is just a standalone single, Overdose. Not on any of their albums. It was released, I don't know, like fucking 2016, 2017 or something like that. And A New Empty reminded me of that song a lot in the guitar tones during the verses. And that's, let alone for like the Philip Strand Normandy feature on A New Empty, that callback to Overdose definitely had me really enjoying A New Empty.
I'm also surprised. Maybe not surprised. I'm a little bit sad Wonderland wasn't on here because I really enjoyed Wonderland, which came out 2021.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
we talked about it on the podcast.
I remember the album art.
Yeah, it's red and black. Anyway,
I think my last comment I want to make on this before we get a move on is that this song feels its runtime. Or not this song. This album feels its runtime.
It does.
Hard Reset is 13 songs and it's 47 minutes long. It feels long. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things holding it back for me, is that the individual songs on here, for the most part, are generally really solid. But it does feel like a bit of a drag to get through.
I can't believe we're saying 47 minutes is long. Bro.
Yeah, very true.
Really not.
It's not terribly long, but it can. I feel like once you get past the 45-minute mark,
Yeah.
if the album doesn't earn those minutes, it feels longer than 45, or in this case, 47 minutes really is.
Yeah.
It has its moments, but I feel like this is just another okay metalcore album that dropped this year. That can
I think, I don't know if I want to say it's the best metalcore album. And that's a pretty low bar for me, honestly.
I think I could say it's a top 5 metalcore album I've heard this. Top 5 at the very least. Maybe top 3. Maybe. Big maybe on that one.
Shall we move on?
I had a transition for this, but I think it might get me shot.
Not in Canada.
I was gonna say, speaking of albums that feel their runtime, but I felt a little leading and almost misleading to my own thoughts. So.
You know, kind of based, honestly.
Holding Absence have dropped their newest album, The Noble Art of Self-Destruction.
I am very, very, very curious about what Justin thinks about this.
Because I feel like get it out of the way first. The Noble Art of Self-Destruction is by far the coolest name to any album this year. Find me a better album name than The Noble Art of Self-Destruction. I'll wait.
The pain you desire, the love you seek.
No,
or the love you deserve.
Super Bloom.
Ruckus! Exclamation
point! Okay, you know what? Ruck might have done it.
Yeah, get rucked, idiot.
I wasn't there for that. I wasn't there for that guy. Somebody let me in.
Anyway, Holding Absence.
Oh, shit.
The Noble Art of Self-Destruction is one of the albums of this year.
I think that's underselling it.
I
don't fuck with that opinion.
Justin, I really want you to go now, Justin.
Okay. Holding Absence continue that trend of having really, really good and really catching singles for me. And the album, one way or another, doesn't quite do it as much as I was hoping for. It happened with The Greatest Mistake of My Life, which had some really good songs to it. No More Roses, Die Alone in Your Lover's Arms, Celebration song. Even going back to In Circles as a single, that was really good. This album, admittedly, does kind of suffer the same fate. You still have phenomenal singles like A Crooked Melody, Scissors, False Dawn, Honeymoon, especially in the context of the album, is really good. There were some teasers for this album that kind of got me pretty interested. And kind of going back into it, I think it's rare that I'm going to say this. I think it's too short of an album. I think if it had like 1 or 2 more tracks to really kind of testament a little bit, because we heard nearly half of the album as singles, and they're all 4 lined up together. They're not even spaced out. So like the first half of the album, it's already something you've already kind of listened to, minus the opener. The last half is all different, which is a good thing. They didn't drop the closer. Death Nonetheless is a really good Holy Absent song, all things considered. I would say it's probably the best of the non-singles.
I would disagree there. I think The Angel and the Marble is definitely the best song on this album.
That's also really good. If not Death Nonetheless, I'd say The Angel and the Marble. Admittedly, I have not had enough time with the last 3 songs on the album, because when I listen to albums, it's during work, and a lot of the time I'm like stopping the album to like get work done and then restart it when I have a lull. And this kind of suffered the fate where I would start from the beginning, listen to it, and then when I got to about maybe halfway to Her Wings, I would have to stop it. So I hadn't really had enough time to give the last 3 to 4 songs their proper time in the context of the album. I had to kind of listen to them individually to kind of get a sense of them.
Are we all in agreement?
It's so similar to the last album. Like in my perception of it, I think Derek put it wonderful. I think it was Derek who put it wonderfully last time. It's like, this is the most beautiful thing that I do not like. I don't know what you said. I don't know. You said it.
Something like that. Something like that.
Yeah, it's the most beautiful album that I will probably never go back to.
Yeah.
Apparently there's an 11th track. What is that about? Vinyl bonus track. Never mind.
I don't know.
Okay.
I have it. Maybe I could listen to it.
You got to tell us.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I bought this vinyl because I expected this to be my album of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It did not do that. The singles were so strong, and I love the singles for The Greatest Mistake of My Life, but they were just way better. I feel like, besides like Afterlife. Like Afterlife is still probably my favorite Holding Absence song, but I don't know what it is. This is almost the Caskets effect, where I feel like each of these songs is good in a playlist, but then I listen to the album, and this ends up feeling longer than the Word Alive album somehow.
No, honestly, I don't like the Caskets comparison, because this is definitely better.
No, absolutely. No,
a lot more. What's the word? I guess I just want to say like beautiful. Honestly,
it's well. You go. Oh, sorry.
No, that's it.
I agree with you. It's more beautiful. It's more complex. It's more impressive. I think that this may even be.
You're Jacob in the background seething.
No, I'm good.
Or Jake, not Jacob.
I felt the same way about The Greatest Mistake of My Life, where like this is going to be one of the best albums I heard this year, and it's not going to make it like anywhere close to my year list. And for, I don't know, at least for me, for some reason, these songs together feel very long. And I feel like it's because this album is meant to be a journey, which is why
apparently.
What's up?
Sorry to interrupt, but
no, you're good.
Apparently, all 3 albums are apparently part of like a story.
If you look closely at the corner of the album art for this, there's a little 3 out of 3.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I go back and listen to like it's almost like Sleep Token. I want to go back. I already told it. I want to go back to listen to everything in succession. But I guess for an album like this to be something that I go back to often enough to like it be in top 10 contention, I need to be invested in that story and that journey that's being told, so that as the runtime goes through, I am not feeling it. And I felt that way about I think you guys know, I went off about it in the Discord, but this artist named Chime put out this concept record, like electronic EDM record, and it's over an hour long, but I feel invested in that because I am engrossed in the story. For this, I'm not. Something is missing to get me hooked on it, and so it just ends up feeling a little longer.
what I have to do is get, like you're saying, get engrossed in the story. And because I haven't really been paying attention to lyrics, I do have lyrics from The Angel and the Marble because
Beautiful song.
Yeah, it is by far my favorite song on this album. But the I am a puzzle, I am a painting, I am a work of art in the making. Trust in your hand, trust in the process. I'm a work of art in the progress.
I feel like that line is very fitting for Holding Absence as a band.
It also seems like it feels like, I don't know how else to compare, but it feels like Euclid from Sleep Token Out. It feels like it's complete. This is the end. It feels like this is the book closing. This is the end of the last chapter, and I don't know if it's about Lucas, or I'm assuming Lucas wrote this, but I don't know for sure. It seems like he's grown as a person and he's moving on in his life. And that's what I've gathered from just this last song. I haven't gone deep into any other songs. I've just been really attached to this one just because of the lyricism. But I'd have to go deeper into other songs, and maybe we'll talk about it at the end of the year if I ever get to going deep into the album. We'll see. This has potential.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, I feel like I just need more time to digest it. I think Justin said that earlier as well.
I think also, like, you can definitely tell they're experimenting more with their roots of, like, post-hardcore, especially in tracks of Scissors, Her Wings, a little bit of Death Nonetheless. I like to see them kind of experimenting more a little bit. So, if this is, like, the end of a quote-unquote era, interested to see where it goes. But a Crooked Melody still slaps.
I do like the inclusion of more screamed vocals by Lucas. I think we talked about that on when they released the split EP with Alpha Wolf last year, and that we'd like to see more of that. And I'm really glad we got that.
Still one of the fucking weirdest collaborations.
But it works way too well.
Before we move on to these last two, I don't feel like I've said too much about this album, but this album really doesn't do anything for me other than False Dawn. I'm just so whelmed by this entire album, and I hate it. I don't know what else to say.
It's
this
just
album
weird.
leaves me unbelievably whelmed. It's so beautiful, yet so like empty to me when I listen to it.
It's like you're going to like an art museum and you can't interpret it fully.
No.
Yeah.
You go into a mirror maze. You see one side of the mirror is Jake holding his framed picture of Caskets reflections, and then on the other side is us three holding the framed picture of Noble Art of Self-Destruction.
Sorry.
Alright. We got 2 albums left.
We've entered the Jake section of
it
the
shouldn't
pod.
be a surprise, but these next 2 albums are albums that I've been hyping up all year.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about Hot Milk's debut album, A Call to the Void.
Jake, before we get started, I really, really want you to guess which song is my favorite. I think it's pretty obvious.
Over Your Dead Body?
Yeah.
Yes, instantly.
Yeah. That checks out. That checks out all right.
Jake knows me.
You're not alone. One of my best friends listened to this as well. It's right up his alley, and that was his as well.
So, Derek, I know that you came into this album not having very high expectations, and from what I understand, you came out pleasantly surprised.
There is not a song on here that I don't really like besides Alice Cooper's Pool House.
I was about to say Alice Cooper's Pool House.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room first, which is very clearly Alice Cooper's Pool House. I think it's a fine song. It's very reminiscent to older Hot Milk material back when they were just a more traditional pop punk band. It's goofy, it's silly, it's British.
The song is okay. It's the fucking skit at the end goes on way too long.
What, with Alice Cooper? I'm pretty sure that is Alice Cooper.
I understand that is Alice Cooper, but
yeah,
I don't care.
Here's the thing. I think the skit works because you go through that skit and then you enter a song called "Zoned Out," and that skit almost zones you out of the album. It works in an ironic
turn
way.
something he doesn't like into a concept. That's crazy.
I think it works. And just the way that like you go into the skit and the way that Zoned Out just immediately starts, you get right into the lyrics and the instrumentation. Like there isn't a build into like the first riff or verse or anything. It's just right into it. It's a perfect transition, I think, as silly as the skit is.
You guys are tripping. I like the skit. I just didn't like the song.
I like
We're in
both
Discord.
songs.
We're in Discord over this.
True. So, with that, is there anything else we want to talk about with Alice Cooper's Pool House? Or are we good to talk about the rest of the album now?
Rest of the album for sure.
I don't know. You run this train.
Real. He is the conductor of the Hot Milk Supremacy train.
Alright, so Jacob's internet cut out real quick. Let's get back into the discussion of this Hot Milk album. Derek, I want to hear your thoughts first before I go into my spiel, because I want to let you air anything that I will probably say for you.
Okay, yeah, perfect. This is my most listened to album of this month, I think. That goes this
Agreed.
probably and then Hail the Sun. Yeah, I know you agree. That has been well documented and established.
Yes, very, very well documented.
I think that this is easily one of, if not the most fun albums I've heard all year.
That is a comparison I wanted to make is Stand Atlantic, actually.
Yeah. I actually thought, didn't they tour together? Am I tripping?
It might have.
I feel like they did at one point. Or no, it's just because the vocalist is dating the other vocalist. That's what it is.
What?
Yeah, the vocalist of Hot Milk is dating the vocalist of Stand Atlantic. Nice little crossover. It's not the most complex listen, but it doesn't try to be, which means that you can just kind of take it for what it is, and what it is a really fun pop rock, pop punk, whatever album. I kind of treat Welcome to the and Horror Show like as the designated opener rather than just Welcome to the, and I think that is a great opener.
Yeah,
Forget Me Not is great, right? Welcome to don't bring that up when we're talking about a good album. I don't know.
Excuse you.
Horror Show, Welcome to the starts out with like, there's a call to the void screaming, when will you join? And then, not to like jump too far, but the final words of this album is there's a call to the void in Forget Me Not as well. So it goes full circle, which I think is really cool. I also think that Horror Show, as like the quote, like the main opening track, so to say, because Welcome to This is just basically an interlude. Horror Show being the opening track and then ending with a breakdown of Welcome to the Show, I think really sets up the fun that this album is going to set you up for. And then it's also just like setting you up for like, hey, this is Hot Milk. Welcome to the show, you know? Like Horror Show is very much a Hot Milk song, and it shows you like how diverse this band can be. And you're just gonna get more of that throughout the rest of the album. Anyway, continue.
I guess something that I always find interesting about albums like this is how well they work as an album without a concept or cohesion. Like I at least maybe Jake, you interpreted something different. For me, I don't see a big overarching concept across every song on this album. But again, at the same time, I feel like that would be.
I think the themes are just very loose.
Yeah, for sure. But despite that, it works all really well as an album, and I think for me, Zoned Out is the highlight. I think that's my favorite song on here by far.
Interesting. All right.
probably Zoned Out, and then Over Your Dead Body, and then Bloodstream, maybe. I think honestly the most surprising part of all this was, I don't remember what song it is. Maybe it's Over Your Dead Body. It's that or Party on My Deathbed, I think. There were like the male vocalist did like uncleans.
Yeah, Jim went wild on the harsh vocals and Over Your Dead Body on that breakdown.
Jim went fucking crazy, bro.
And then you get like a little bit, you did like a bit of strings out of the breakdown too. It's just so sick.
It adds another layer, like how we were talking about with what we wanted out of Caskets earlier, or whatever. Like, I feel like this is the same sort of thing. Like, I wanted a little bit of that variation very prominently to give me and like bring me back into the album. I think this did that perfectly.
There are no two songs on here that sound the same.
No, and it's way better off for it. Honestly, this is my number 11 album right now, and the only thing holding it back is Alice Cooper's Poolhouse. Also, not a sentence I'd say in discussion to anything ever, but yeah, I don't know. Everything here, if you take that song out, and like not even that it's necessarily a bad song, it's not my cup of tea, and I appreciate it being what it is. It's just I don't feel the rest of the album is quirky enough to make it not stand out in a average to bad way. But overall, I mean, this is just incredible stuff, and I said I was
very
waiting,
happy to hear that.
Right? I mean, this has been one of those Jake and/or Justin eggs that has been waiting to hatch for me, and I'm glad that it finally clicked.
All right, so
all right, big boy.
This album is absolutely incredible. I think the loose theme of this album being a call to the void as the name of the album is just it's just willing to be open about things that you are thinking about. It doesn't always have to be happy or sad. It can just be like this album touches on everything and just letting it out. And I think that really just encapsulates Hot Milk. They are like, they have such an infectious energy that can convey both like the silly fun side of them in a song like Alice Cooper's Poolhouse. And you can also touch on that really deep, dark, emotionally sad place in songs like Breathing Underwater and Forget Me Not. And I think that's what a call to the void is. It's just a call to anyone out there who can relate to feeling, as vague as that sounds. And I think they absolutely fucking nailed it. I think, as I already said, I think Horror Show is an incredible opener. The way that the instruments build in, you get a sick bass lick in the second verse. Party on My Deathbed is that just infectious Hot Milk energy to a T. Bloodstream leans more into the poppier EDM side, which we touched on as a single during our July recap, and I think it's incredible. What I think is the most amazing thing about this album is the fact that I came into this album expecting the singles to be some of my favorites, and I think the stretch of Over Your Dead Body to the end of the album is maybe 5 of my 6 favorite songs on this album. When I was already as high as I was on the singles for this album, to be as blown away as I am with the back half of this album is a rare thing. I think of like some of my favorite albums of past years. Think like, I don't know, like a Memphis Mayfire. I mean, admittedly, I was very, very pleased with The Fight Within as a closer, but like, we already knew most of the songs on that album. I'm trying to think of a better example of a song, of an album that like I really enjoyed. But like Future Palace from last year, that's a good example. Songs like Paradise and Flames and Dead Inside, the singles, absolutely incredible. And there were some standouts as non-singles, like Locked. But the last few songs on that album of like Loco Loco and Fever are not anything special in comparison to the singles. This Hot Milk album nails the non-singles in a way that really struck with me. Zoned Out, I think, is a perfect transition out of Alice Cooper's Poolhouse. I mean, you're talking about Alice Cooper's Poolhouse and the skit of like, I had some fucking teenagers in my pool and they drowned or something. And then Zoned Out is like, it opens up with, and while you're there. So it almost thematically is like, Zoned Out is taking place in Alice Cooper's Poolhouse. I don't know. Maybe I'm just stretching the lyrics here, but I thought that was cool. I think Over Your Dead Body, the transition from Zoned Out into Over Your Dead Body is fucking phenomenal. And then the energy just keeps going. You get into Migraine, which starts out really fast as well. And then you get a crazy vocal delivery, the first verse, with now I'm angry, chop my head off and it nearly bloody killed me. Now I'm rolling in the mud, pushing daisies, blah, blah, blah. Eventually you get into the chorus, which is really catchy as well. And then from that, you get into Breathing Underwater, which is the big, like, emotional ballad of the album. And that song really hit. We couldn't talk about it during our singles episode, because I knew we were going to be talking about it as an album. But Breathing Underwater is probably my favorite single of the month. I don't know. It's hard. There's so many incredible songs from August, but the vocal delivery on I tried breathing underwater to drown out the doubt. I cracked under the pressure and nearly bled out. You said you'd always save me, so where are you now? Feels like I'm falling. I'm dancing while drowning alone. Just the delivery on that, and you can feel it in the instrumentation too. It leans into that emotional side. And you get from that into Amphetamine featuring Julian of Loveless, which is an absolutely incredible feature. By the end of the song, you get all three of them doing harmonies on top of one another, and it's just fucking magical. Julian does a lot of features. The feature on Amphetamine is maybe one of the best features he's ever done. But the other thing about Amphetamine is the way that the song starts out with Hannah's vocal delivery. It's like got a little bit of reverb to it. It's got a bit of an electronic backing, and it just like gave me chills immediately. I was like, you ever like listen to a song within like the first 20 seconds, you think like, oh shit, this is maybe going to be one of those top 10 songs of the year? That's how I felt when I first heard Amphetamine. I don't think it is, but just the way that song opened just immediately resonated with me. And then you get a perfect slow fade out transition from Amphetamine that perfectly transitions into Forget Me Not, the album closer, which is just a fucking heartbreaker of a song about Jim's grandfather who has dementia and is like losing his memories and stuff, from what I can tell anyway. And just, it's such a perfect way to end the album. It really has that closer energy. And I think it really is that call to the void. Because when you're dealing with dementia, like losing their memory on the verge of like forgetting everything and on the verge of death, you get lyrics of, I swear this house isn't hollow, but the walls are refusing to speak. Where you go, I can't follow. Gotta let you rest in peace. And then you get in the second chorus, or like later on in the song, before the chorus or during the chorus, you get a slight change up where it's, so into the void you go, I surrender to all my beliefs, because where you go, I can't follow. Gotta let you rest in peace. It's just such a beautiful development in the song. And it's so fitting for the theme of a call to the void, of like dealing with, closing the album on like the thoughts of dealing with death and losing a loved one. It's a heavy topic, but I just have to reiterate how well it closed out the album. I think I fucking love this album. There's so much variety on every single song, and I think they nail it every single time, which is not easy to do. This is an album that only Hot Milk could make. And I think that's the best way that I can leave it.
Perfectly stated.
Thank you. I spent a lot of time with the album. I'd like to think I could.
I was gonna say, how many plays do you have on it now? Who's winning? You or Justin?
Justin's definitely winning.
I'm curious.
We stay winning here on the Justin train.
Justin definitely winning. Justin's Tapestry versus My Hot Milk. Justin definitely wins that. If we're talking about like across the entire year, I maybe win there. But if we're talking about just in August, I think Justin wins.
Justin August did go hard. I will also say, this is really fucking good.
Oh hell yeah!
I really like this album. Some of my favorites: Breathing Underwater, Migraine, Forget Me Not, and Zoned Out. All were really good.
I just remembered something. My last thought on Forget Me Not, but you go first.
I was about to say, I think of like the feeble and vocals bands that I enjoy. I think with time, this may top Primrose Path by Dream State.
Hell yeah. Let's fucking go. Yeah, the thing I wanted to mention about Forget Me Not as a closer, it's funny how I mentioned Future Palace as like a reference of a band that like didn't nail the closing songs on as like non-singles from their last album, but their debut album, Escape, the closer of Break Free into My Air, still is like one of my favorite endings to any album ever. And Forget Me Not is the closest I have felt to that since I first heard Escape. And like My Air and Forget Me Not both have that kind of electronic, slow, like synth-wavy type beat to it that I just fucking love the delivery of. My Air is one of my favorite closers of all time, and Forget Me Not is one of my favorite closers of the year. And I believe that takes us to our final album for our August recap part 2, the albums. And admittedly, this next one is an album, but it's comprised of almost entirely singles. By the time this album dropped, there was only one new song to be talked about. So let's talk about it. Concrete Castles have released their sophomore album, Brand New Me. Featuring their past 10 singles in reverse order, and new song Immortal as the album opener. It's a very interesting way to release the album. To start with You Won't See Me Again and literally just release the album in order. But like Immortal being the last song to release is the first, Kill the Lights being the second to last single is the second song, etc., just to make that clear.
Reverse sundowning. What is that?
Reverse sundowning, sure.
What's that? Moon upping.
The thing is, with 10 out of the 11 songs on this album being singles, I think it's impressive how well it all still sounds like a cohesive album.
Yes. Well, yes. But I will say, I guarantee you, if I listened to, like, I only remember selecting like select singles that I enjoyed, such as Lucky, So Addicted, Disappear. I think those are the main ones that I've added to playlists. But if I kept track of this release, like as it came out one by one, I would not have enjoyed this album as much as I do right now.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't. For me, on the other hand, I was eating up every single song every single month. This has been... Concrete Castles have carried 2023 as far as I'm concerned. I know I gave Hot Milk a lot of praise just now prior to this. Concrete Castles may have released one of the most flawless albums I've ever heard.
This is pretty good. I really, really enjoyed this.
I think the stretch at the back half of this album of Running from the Daylight through Lucky is one of the best 4 streaks of songs ever.
You know, like
the Daylight,
what about
Dollhouse, Where Are You Now, and Lucky. Huh?
What about You Won't See Me Again? No?
Eh.
Really?
You Won't See Me Again grew on me a lot as a closer. Like it was my least favorite song going into the it was my second to least favorite. Smile is my least favorite song on here. You Won't See Me Again was my second least favorite going into the full album listen. And I didn't expect it to work as much as a closer as it did. But hearing You Won't See Me Again as the closer was like the thing that made me realize what the hell this entire album is about. Concrete Castles, you have to consider that the 3 members of this band are all very young, and they took a risk by like betting on themselves to make this music career work at such a young age. And I think that's what they're trying to say with this album. In Immortal, you kind of start out with like this idea of like a brand new me type of thing. It's like, this is who we are. We are betting on ourselves because we know we can do it type of thing. Yeah, the lyric, I have it here, is we exceeded expectations, classic case of tunnel vision. So like people would doubt them, saying that like, oh, like chasing the music dream is not gonna work. It's like such a big gamble. And then by the end of it, they like spin it and You Won't See Me Again of so you want to spend your money or your time wasting 4 years of your life, which is obviously a jab at all of the people around them that were saying, oh, this music thing isn't going to work, and then they go off to college and just follow the basic path. I don't know. I find that story really captivating and really fitting for this band. And especially someone that has recently graduated from college. Like, admittedly, like, it's like a year and a half, 2 years for me at this point.
I didn't realize they were so young. What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like Derek age.
That's fucking me.
So yeah, it's crazy how talented that all three of them are in this band for how young they are. But like, I mean, they've been doing so many covers with Under First to 11 that it absolutely paid off and translates into this original material. This is just an album full of earworms, other than Smile. I think Smile is still a little disappointing, but every single chorus on this album is extremely catchy. The guitar work and the bass lines are extremely fun and memorable. Especially Disappear Like Magic, you get that little bass lick before the final chorus. It's just so good. So fucking good. So Addicted is another song that really highlights the bass.
This is messing with my head. Like even their like writing is so good for like so young.
Yeah,
it's messing with my. It's messing with my head.
And then you also get. I feel like the theme of like this album is dedicated to the people that doubted them. The last three songs really highlight that. And Where Are You Now being like that. It's an emotional anthem to like, you wish you could recognize the good times while they were still here type of thing. Because I'm pretty sure Where Are You Now is touching on like them even younger, like in high school, like throwing parties in the parents' basement type of thing. I mean, that's a lyric in the song. Mm-hmm. You get Lucky, where it's like, how'd you get so lucky? Which is, I think, them like admitting that like people think that they didn't put in the time and effort to succeed in this music career. But they've obviously like proven all of them wrong. It's like, oh, how'd you get so lucky? You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's who's saying that, dude? They don't even have a lot of listeners. Like, come on.
It is criminal how few monthly listeners they have on Spotify. It is fucking criminal. I'm pretty sure First to 11 has like hundreds of thousands. I don't get it, man. I mean, I kind of get it. Covers can be easier to discover if you're looking up covers for popular songs that they cover, but I think it's crazy how like on how few monthly listeners and how few plays some of these songs have on this album. But I feel like I've kind of hit home the themes across this album well enough, and like how it's a message to the doubters and that like they're glad that they took the road less traveled. To touch on some of the individual songs, my favorite song on here is Running from the Daylight. You get an just incredible vocal delivery. One of my favorite deliveries in the song is the second verse. I want the nightmares. I want the voices in my head. I want them taking control. Just the delivery on that is beautiful. And then it's also just an extremely fun and upbeat song. You get a really sick like breakdown kind of bridge thing. Dollhouse as well is extremely catchy. One of the catchiest choruses of the entire year. I'm so over it, trying to figure it out. Up against the wall, I'll put my head in the clouds, baby, we're going down. Like, it's very repetitive, but it's so fun. Disappear Like Magic is another one of my favorites on here. I'd say that those. God, I'm trying to pick my favorites on this album is fucking difficult.
Mine is definitely the newest one, Immortal. It's just I get like a big entrancey vibe.
Yes, it's the most grand. It's the most grand song on the album for sure. I think my favorites have to be Running from the Daylight, Where Are You Now, and Disappear. Running from the Daylight just being like my favorite song, just like across the board. Just when I think of like what do I want in a song, that's just an incredible song. Where Are You Now is my second favorite, purely for the emotional attachment I have to the song now. When Where Are You Now released last year, it was a few months out of college for me, and now I've associated them talking about that like Where Are You Now. Let me read the lyrics here. I've got it written down. Where are you now? Hope you're doing well. Got your feet on the ground. Now I'm leaving town, but I'll make you proud. This is not goodbye. It's just see you around. Especially that last line of this is not goodbye. It's just see you around. Really hit home for me with like how my last year at college went, and leaving that behind, leaving those 4 years behind. Admittedly, they are kind of shedding on the college 4 year, just do what you're told type of thing, but I've associated Where Are You Now with my college experience, and fuck it, you can't take that away from me at this point. And
I
This Fear
really
is Magic is
enjoyed
just incredible.
the last 3 songs actually. The
Yeah.
last 3-song run of Where Are You Now, Lucky, and You Don't See Me Again.
And I would just add Running from the Daylight and Dollhouse onto that. And that's not to say that like other songs early in the album aren't bad either. I think Jealousy has a really fun chorus as well. So Addicted is like groovy as fuck. Like the bass line in So Addicted is one of the most memorable bass lines I've heard in a long ass time. Like I can't think of too many songs that are as driven by the bass since like fucking Eye Opener off of To Better Days. Like someone remind me of another song that's been like super bass driven that's really fucking good in the past years. I can't think of one.
Panopticon.
Roses by Awaken I Am.
I guess, but I would still take So Addicted over that, personally. I think Smile is the weakest song on here. It's not bad. It's just underwhelming compared to everything else. It feels kind of flat and one-noted, but, like, that's really the only flaw I can give this album. Like, when I said at the beginning of this, like, this is one of the most flawless albums I've ever heard, I mean it. Like, this is more, like, Memphis May Fire and Concrete Castles did the same thing of releasing almost the entire album as singles, and these singles are way more consistent and better than most of those Memphis May Fire singles.
For specifically Derek and Jake, how does this hold up
I see how
to the previous album?
This is better. This is far better, and I say that as someone.
I'm surprised you said that. I feel like Derek's answer is going to be different.
No,
It's
not. Yeah, it's not better.
I Brand New Me. It's like
This
Wish
is
I Missed You.
100% better.
Wish I Missed You was a top 10 album of 2021 for me. This album queers Wish I Missed You as far as I'm concerned.
I 100% agree. I think Wish I Missed You is the only song I like have saved from that album. This one, I have everything saved.
Concrete Castles really leaned into more of like a bit of like not even like hard
more
rock,
darker,
slightly darker pop rock than more like the traditional pop rock sound of like an Against the Current, or I guess I want to say a Yours Truly to an extent, but I don't know. This album's definitely darker, and I fuck with it.
I enjoy it a lot more.
I am so sad that they are not coming to Hamden on the Emo Dreams tour with Icon for Hire. Dude, Icon for Hire, Conquer Divide, Concrete Castles would be fucking tour of the year if Conquer Divide and Concrete Castles were both coming and they weren't splitting the bill. It's so sad.
Splitting the bill. I just thought of dinner. Back to the food conversation.
We've come full circle to the
I know sometimes people call tour like bills or whatever.
Yeah, I know. But you just said splitting the bill. Just made me think of food. So.
I don't think I have too much more to say. It's just, this is some of the best pop rock, period. Now, Derek, if you have any thoughts that you want to say, since I haven't given you much room to breathe.
No, it's okay. You've said a lot of the positive that I would say, and it's not even that I have any negative. It's just I like a lot of what they're doing on here in their darker sound, like you guys said. I do miss a lot of that sound that my favorites off of the first album had. So if you took my favorites from this album and my favorites from Wish I Missed You and put them together, it'd be like album of the year. But as it stands, Smile, Dollhouse, and Lucky, I think, really hold me back from, and Immortal too. Those are the 4 songs that I don't have saved, and I think that they're much weaker than the weaker quote-unquote tracks off of Wish I Missed You. So I'm left with overall higher peaks, but also lower valleys. I think that Wish I Missed You is much more consistent. And because it was so consistently good, that's why I was able to make its way into my top 10. I don't see this doing the same. I think I listened to this 3 times to see if my opinion would change on any of the songs that I wasn't quite as fond of, and it didn't. So it's still a good album. Disappear is fucking phenomenal. Kill the Lights. I mean, You Won't See Me Again. All of these. All the ones that I like, I love. But the other ones I'm like, So, I still, having said that, I think this album is definitely worth checking out, and I'm still appalled at how criminally underrated this band is.
Yeah.
They should not be.
We will keep preaching.
Exactly. They should be right up there with. I mean, just to pull another like a stand-up like almost, or even like Lights to an extent, I guess. Not that they're
the other thing I want to add.
but...
I mean, this is kind of unrelated to the album, but like, there's a lot of bands that are like just put out the album and tour. Like Concrete Castles, they put out a lot of like extra content too. They did like behind the scenes videos for every single song on this album.
Mm.
And like, you're not gonna get that from most bands. Like, they're offering a very rare look into the behind the scenes of what goes into making an album like this. And as someone that would really like to get into like the music video market at some point in the next few years, it's been very eye-opening to like kind of get that look behind the curtain a little bit. And there are very few bands doing it the same way Concrete Castles are. Like, they're just doing everything right. And they deserve all the success.
Does every song have a music video?
I believe so, yeah.
That's crazy.
All 11 of them.
These guys are loaded.
It's all that first to 11 money.
How'd you get so lucky?
For those in the back, this shit wasn't luck. This shit was talent and hard work.
It's true. I saw an acoustic set 1 year ago. It was awesome.
I saw a not so acoustic set.
That sounds
a year
awesome.
and a half ago. They were fantastic. Come back to Connecticut, please. I need to hear this album live. And with that, that's our August recap done. What an insane month.
Literally unreal.
Wow.
We did it, boys.
Somehow, some way.
There were some bumps along the way.
There were some bumps along the way, but
I'm currently tethered to my phone.
It happened.
There were some bumps along the way, but goddamn, if there weren't some good-ass albums and good-ass singles and just in general some good-ass music.
True.
And some whelming music, but some good-ass music too. So that brings us into we are, I'd say, officially in like the back half of the year now.
Yes, sir.
There are 4 months left of this year. We got September, October, November, and December.
Oh, I'm not ready for December, dude. Too much pressure.
Right?
Yeah. I think all of our end of year lists are like starting to take shape and like solidify to some extent.
I've learned from previous years, and I'm keeping a document this year, dude.
Yep.
Yep. I'm excited. I think that August was probably going to be the craziest month for the rest of this year, but there are still some banger releases for the next few months that we are definitely looking out for. I know we're recording this September 7th. Conquer Divide's dropping their album Slow Burn tonight as we're recording this. What else?
Super
Beartooth.
Bloom.
Yep, Super Bloom by Silent Plan is coming out in November. Beartooth is dropping their album in October. Catch Your Breath dropping their album in October. There's a lot
of the albums in October.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out. So you definitely, if you want to hear our takes on everything that's coming out over the next few months, be sure to follow us on socials at Hivemind Radio _ on Instagram and Twitter, Hivemind Radio on YouTube. You can catch these episodes live on YouTube unless Jacob's internet crashes. Hang out with us in chat. And be sure to follow on Spotify as well, Hivemind Radio Recap, for the audio versions of these. You can listen on the go. That's going to do it for us this month. We've only done one After Hours episode this year. I feel like we've been a little slow on getting that done, but we've all been pretty busy. So maybe another After Hours soon before our September recap. I don't know, fucking know. We'll see. Either way, we'll be back with our September recap in a few weeks. Thank you for listening. Have a good night. We hope you enjoyed.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.